Hi, so in this video we will learn how we can create an Azure pipeline on Kubernetes with the .NET application. So we'll use the ASP.NET Core Web application. So let's get started. So first of all, we'll have to create an Azure Kubernetes service cluster. So let's go to the portal and select Kubernetes service, create Kubernetes cluster, and just fill up this form. So I'll create a new group, say RG AKS.NET. Choose to look the dev test. I just simply name cube 001 and select the two nodes. Okay, so let's review and create. Click on create, and this may take little while time. So meanwhile, we will also we required a Docker repository because we'll fetch the image from the Docker. So Docker Hub. In the Docker Hub, we'll create one repository and name is any name .NET 006. I would give the name. Okay, so now the repository has created. Now we will open Visual Studio for a simple application. Create a new project and select ASP.NET Core Web. Next, click on the next. The name is Web Application 006 and just click over here, enable cluster and select the Linux because we are going to deploy on a Linux Kubernetes service. So it's been created. Go to the Docker file and Docker file has been created automatically by the application. So if we click create on a run button and if we go application then localhost 7195, this is the UI web UI part. We will not do any sort of messy thing because we are concentrating on the pipeline. So this should be deployed on a Kubernetes. So now let's create a dev project, that is a dev.azure in a DevOps like a Git repository. Create a new project and give .NET 006 and anything you can select. I will go with the private repository. Okay, so now click on the repo. The files are not there. Our local repository is not synced with it. So that's local project. Click on the view and open the terminal. Do git init so that our repository can be created, and we have to add these things. This is our repo URL on the Azure side. We'll sync it. Now git add all and we'll git commit the first commit and git push. So just copy this and paste over there. So now we will use a ham chart for deployment. So basic ham chart, nothing, we don't want to do any sort of a great thing over there. We'll just have a pod deployment and the external service, that is external IP. So I'll copy the Helm chart and paste over here from my previous application. Again, we just need to change this to .NET 006 because that is the repository location. Okay, and type is a load balancer, and rest of the things is very simple. This is a deployment file, and this is a service file. And on the deployment, we'll create a pod. So this is a basic structure, and there are values. Values are the placeholder, and all the values are residing into the values.yml. Okay, so now let's again add them into the Git repository, that is our Azure repository. Chart, Helm chart added. Okay, and now push it. Okay, so now let's click on the repo, and we got everything. Now because we are deploying, we are fetching the uh, uh, images from the Docker, and we are also building and pushing the images to Docker. So we require a credential. So for that, click on the project setting and go to the service connection. Create a service connection and select the Docker registry and see the next. Click on the Docker hub, give your Docker ID and password, and verify it. So verification successful. Click on this grant access to or and select give name to Docker con. Verify and save. Okay. So now again a new because we have now our task toward the build and push toward the Docker has completed, but we need to deploy in the Kubernetes service in Azure. So what we'll do, click on this Azure Resource Manager and Service Principal Automatic, and it will load the subscription. Just log in it. Now select the resource group. We have a resource group where our Kubernetes cluster is there. Give the name AKS CONN. Grant access permission to all the pipelines. Yes, so our AKS con has created. So now we'll go to the repo and click on the setup build for creating the pipeline. So for now, just select any pipeline that you select because we are going to use a YML pipeline. So just remove all these things. Here you'll have to select the Ubuntu because we are using Linux one. And here we will add two tasks. One task is for Docker build and push. Another task is for Kubernetes deployment. Okay. So what I will do, I will just copy paste some of the tasks and I'll paste over here. So we have a Docker connection, yes, and here we change to 006. This is the repository URL, and then here I have AKS con, and again the release name should be 5. Okay, but before that we will have to check. Okay, so our Kubernetes uh, So now we will get the credential and just paste over here. Okay, so now let's check ham list. Nothing. kubectl get all except for the basic Kubernetes. Nothing is there. Okay, no nothing pods for the verification. Okay, all right. Now we will try to run the pipeline. So let's I'll select the .NET 006 project and go to the repo. And yes, we are supposed to yeah, this is the pipeline that we were actually talking to. So all look good. Let's double verify Docker Ubuntu and just select SN9. So we can manually trigger the application pipeline. So now pipeline is not valid. The connection of the type of Kubernetes, but the provided the service connection of AKS is of type Azure REM. Okay, we'll see that. So again, go to the service connection and let's create AKS connection. In fact, Kubernetes. Select the Kubernetes and actually the previous one that we have created, it can be used on lots of resources like Azure ACR and all. So what we will try, click on Azure rather than this one because we have created based on the resource manager. This is another way of in Azure. There are every Kubernetes service has a different way of creating that. So here I'll just change this name to the resource group that we have created, and Kubernetes cluster name is also PM cube. Okay, and we'll see that. I think demo, yeah, 006, and that looks okay. So let's try to run the pipeline and see how it goes. So pipeline has got started. So this may take around 1 to 2 minutes. So what we have done, rather than AKS connection, we have used uh, the resource manager access. So like we will see in the DigitalOcean and Linode where we have a kube config and AKS connection can be directly created. In AWS and Google, we can use the service accounts, and here we can use a resource manager access. So there are different ways to connect, and that's what the reason that I want to show on a different Kubernetes service a different way to simplify it. So let's see again the pipeline. Okay, so let's still wait. Currently the Docker push is going on, and I'll pause the video for maybe a 30-40 seconds. Okay, so a pipeline got successful. Now let's go to the command line and check Helm list. Yeah, it's look good. And get pods. It's running. Get kubectl logs. We'll see that later on. First of all, let's check deployment. It's good, and get service. Okay, so now go to the pipeline, and Ham will give us some information how to connect. Okay, so I'll copy this and In the git bash, I just paste it. Okay, so now it's asking to check on this. Hopefully we'll get it. Okay, so fantastic. We have seen a successful deployment at the very easy step. We have not gone to the complex one. And at last, whenever we are completed, we are done. We have ham list and we can uninstall the application so that we can minimize the cost. Demo 006. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.